Beautiful. How you doing tonight? Welcome back to Lucky After Dark. Whoop whoop. So you heard it. You read the title right. Gang members, they get with gay guys all the time. I hope that I don't drop this camera. But gang members get with gay guys all the time. All the time. And as a matter of fact, actually, there's a lot of things in prison that are just not as they seem, period. Like, gang members out here in the real world are real gang members. Like, they grew up in the hood, probably got just connected early in life, I ain't even really gonna even begin to even speak too much on it because I really don't know. All I know about is the shit that I didn't see in prison. And I'll give you examples just right off the bat. I knew a queen personally. Her name was KJ, is what I call her. And actually, this gang member, he was in the Bloods gang. And really, I met him when I was in the cell with Katrina. And while I was in the cell with Katrina, she was being pursued by a gang member. And I thought that was dangerous. I thought she was crazy because I didn't want nothing to do with the gang members. I was terrified of them, obviously. And for whatever reason, in my classification file, they kept putting me in the cell with gang members. But, which was a problem because, like, 99.9% of the time they were not letting me in the cell, okay? But I was still trying to figure out something. Like, I would try to talk with them. One of the dudes, I even tried to buck on him, and he couldn't believe that I did that, but I was actually ready to fight. And then to my surprise, he came in the cell and then was like reasonably talking to me, which first example of how people are not how they seem. I haven't even gotten to my other examples, but right there, he's acting like he's Billy Badass, and then he comes into the cell, and his energy was way calmer than how it was. The whole scene, big ass scene that he just made in the pod, I was on the inside terrified, but I just felt like I had committed to this. I was ready for it, like, bring it on, because I was just tired of being moved all the time. And then he, like, reasonably, like, calmly explains to me, like, what the situation is here. But, yeah, and then well, okay. But getting back to KJ, so I had issues with gang members. I didn't want nothing to do with them. Then I see Katrina. I'm in the cell with Katrina, the trainee. She's passing kites back and forth with a gang member. She's telling me just like the tea, reading the letters to me that, the crazy things that he would say. And in the pod, there was this guy that I really was lusting after. Whew. He was thick, honey. Them nice, juicy lips that you just want pressed all over your body, honey. Whew, he had that deep voice, like this booming voice. He would scream, "CO!" Like, you call for the CO, like, if you need your door open or something like that. Like, oh my gosh, he had this nice thick beard, but it was all clean cut and stuff, beautiful teeth. Because in prison, a lot of people in there have jacked teeth. Jacked. Oh my God. Like, I've never seen so much, and I feel bad if I'm offending anybody whose man or somebody is in prison. Like, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, I never said a word to nobody. I never was mean to anybody. And I don't have the best teeth. I got these horse teeth, and then my baby Cam, my honey, his teeth ain't perfect. God bless his soul, but his sweetheart, not his soul. He's still here. God bless his soul and his life and his heart. But his teeth ain't all that perfect, but it's beautiful. I love his teeth. I lick his teeth and everything. But a lot of people in there have messed up teeth. Okay, and this guy had a nice set of teeth and a print on him. Oh my gosh, that even with the baggiest jeans, it looked like it was hugging him too tight. You know what I'm saying? He just needed some room down there, and I loved it. I loved it, and I definitely was lusting after him. But at the same time, I was shy. I had just gotten into prison. I'm still just terrified of everybody that's around me, like, just terrified of everybody. And he was trying to be nice to me, but he was in the gang. Like, he was in the Bloods gang, and that scared me, because then in my mind, I'm thinking, like, I mean, every time I, get moved into a cell with these people, they just flipping out. I'm thinking, like, why are you even talking to me? Like, aren't you not allowed to even speak to me? Like, I'm not talking to you. I don't want nothing to do with you. Like, but I'm very green at this point. I didn't realize how common this is. Gang members hook up with gay people all the time. That was my first experience where I didn't hook up with him. But then later when I got moved around to a different pod, my homegirl KJ, she was like an Italian queen, loud and funny. She ended up getting with him and he did get beaten up twice. And then they told him that he needs to leave the compound and he checked himself into the hole, which KJ later stopped respecting him. Matter of fact, KJ used to be part of the Gangster Disciples, the GD, because I was just gonna say GD, but I was like, no, I want to show people, like, I know the terms. I was really there. I wouldn't be up here saying I was there if I wasn't. But yeah, the Gangster Disciples, yeah, KJ used to be a part of them, and when she was supposed to be beaten out, she ended up fucking them up, actually. Like, that's a story. She didn't even tell it. She loved that she could fight so well, which that's another little unkept, or tightly kept, excuse me, secret, is that there's a lot of gay guys in there that actually can fight really well, and it's because they have to, because they got people coming at them crazy all the time, either coming at them, violently because they don't like them, they homophobic or whatever the fuck, not letting them in the cell, or they still need to learn how to fight because they get these possessive guys, that try to control them and get violent and aggressive with them just out of control, just out of wanting to control them, or can't keep their emotions in check because, the bitch is, sucking this person's dick and that person's dick and screwing this person in class. Like, so then guys snap out. And a lot of gay people in there actually learn how to fight. I got in one fight, not in prison. I didn't get in any fights in prison, but in the jail. I got in one fight. And I didn't think I'd get in any fights while I was locked up, but I did. But anyway, but yeah. After he checked himself into the hole, because he had to check himself in, because the gang members, they wouldn't let him stay on the compound. KJ didn't want nothing to do with him anymore. And that was my first experience. Katrina still got with sorry, I'm just trying to fix this thing over here. I always got my computer here, and I usually put on like a little video, so this way the screensaver doesn't come on. I don't know how it don't matter. But, yeah, Katrina got with her gang member dude, and there was some chatter about this guy, and people were speculating and stuff like that, and I think she just pulled away from him because she felt like, you're not going to put me in harm's way, and she had breast, so she was sought after by everybody. She was not committed to anybody, and plus, where the compound where she came from, she actually left her husband. She had to leave her husband there, so she was still not. She just wasn't trying to be with nobody, And then she was just having fun with that gang member, which I thought was insanity. And then later, other cases, I heard this person sucking so and so's dick, who was part of the Bloods, part of the Crips. While I still was at the first compound that I initially went to, because some of the Spanish guys found out that, I could speak a little bit Spanish, and, my stupid ass, I'm so naive when I first get to prison. I'm literally treating it like I'm from the streets. So, like, some of the guys that couldn't speak good English, I would try to, like, answer them in Spanish, or ask, like, if I needed help with something, I would ask in Spanish. Like, thinking I'm being friendly. This is prison. Like, nobody is friendly to people. And it just, made people, like, oh my gosh, And it got around mad quick that I could speak Spanish. And then I had several of the MS13, the MS13 people trying to talk to me on the low. Like, one of the guys, he was being threatened. The same dude that one of the gang member guys that they tried to move me in the cell with, that I said at the beginning of this video, who put this big scene, like made this big scene, and then when he came into the cell, he was all nice and sweet and stuff. he was like a high-ranking person in the MS-13 gang. Later, when he found out one of these dudes kept talking to me all the time, like, on the rec yard or in the chow hall, those were the two main places that he would talk to me. This guy went and said that he was gonna have to stab him if he didn't leave me alone, you know. Later, when I get to the new compound, there was a boss who used to be in a gang, and I messed with him. Matter of fact, there was another queen that she used to be in the Bloods gang, and she got out. I know then when I was dating Cam, there was this other guy that he was like a high-ranking person in the gang, and he used to flash me his dick all the time in horticulture class in the greenhouse. Like, and I would tell him, I'm like, I'm with Cam, I'm not interested. If you've been watching me for a minute, a couple of times I done told y'all, like, I was good for flashing somebody sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I never flashed him nothing. I never, like, even made it look like I was even the least bit interested in what he was showing me. And it's because I was, you know, committed to Cam. I kind of liked Cam, like, right from the get, to be honest. And it was just a matter of removing myself from, people thinking that I'm available. That took some time, but eventually people got it. But yeah, he was in a gang. There is a lot of people in prison that actually join gangs on purpose, thinking that they will get some sort of protection by becoming a gang member in prison. But actually, it leads them to more danger. Majority of the trouble that happens in prison is through gang on gang, conflict and the homosexuals. And I saw that. I experienced it myself, witnessed it, with my own two eyes myself. Like, this is just from what I had seen and heard and experienced myself, and even heard, like, through the administration, been told by the administration, like, literally the captain himself, who's been working for prison the last 22 years, he told me straight out his mouth, he was like, I never really liked dealing with homosexuals because the two hardest people to house and the two kinds of people that get in the most trouble in all my years working are always gang members and homosexuals. That's why it blows my mind that these locked up shows and stuff like that, they all harp on the gang activity and the drug wars and stuff like that, but they don't really talk about, like, the gay culture. It's just as big of a deal as the gang culture in prison, which is, like, if you really think about it, obviously it's an environment with no women, so hello, obviously there's going to be some shit going on with the gays, but yeah, there's the gang members do it all the time. You hear about this person was in a gang and they was messing around with that person. There was another chick, actually, Buttercup, at the first compound that I used to be, that I first had arrived on. She was like the compound hoe. She had a couple, like 3 different gang members that she was messing around with and got caught with one of them, and surprised, she was such a hoe and had so many guys that looked after her that the gangs didn't even bother with her. They just beat up. Actually, they did the same thing with KJ, now that I think about it, but that's because KJ had a solid reputation for fighting. But they just beat up that dude, and he got removed off the compound. Like, rather than him checking into the hole, they beat him up so badly, like, the administration just removed him off the compound. They didn't even do nothing to Buttercup. And there was rumors about the other 2 guys, but I guess they couldn't prove anything, or I don't know. And then at the other facility, there was, when I was dating Boss, my prison sugar daddy, he was in the cell with a queen, and she was messing around with a gang member. Like, gang members get with gay guys all the time. And a matter of fact, it already didn't happen even out here. I made that video about, what's his name, Hassan Campbell, and he's supposed to be some street dude, cool with all the street dudes or whatever. Like, it happens all the freaking time. Like, come correct, y'all. And I'm not talking about my subscribers. I'm talking about the foolish people that think that I'm up here just gassing stuff up, exaggerating stuff. I've seen some comments, old comments that, I try not to be irritated by. I try not to be irritated by it. But, some people, they be like, I don't believe this. Sound like a bunch of bullshit to me. My homies did such and such and all this stuff and blah, blah. I be thinking, like, use a bunch of bullshit just because you don't want to believe facts, or it's not even believe it. I think that's a lot of people, they already know, they just don't want to hear it. It's like, okay, I'm not racist, I'm not trying to make anybody feel uncomfortable, and if you white, this ain't even directed towards you because you're watching me, so you must have some common sense. But this is just like white people who know that black people, deal with abuse and violence and, what I'm saying, racism and all this stuff. But it's like, but they just don't want to hear about it. It's still a problem. To me, it's literally not quite the same thing, but it's like the equivalent kind of. It's, it's in the same family kind of, it's like, I feel like a lot of these straight guys, they really know really what is going on, but it's like they just don't want to hear about it. It's like, this is supposed to be a tight, quiet secret. Who are you to be, shaking out the rug, It's like, because the fucking thing is filthy. But that's all I got on this topic. Gang members get with gay guys all the time. All the time. I don't know about out here, to be honest with you. Out here, I just keep looking because I'm near the highway, and it's a lot of movement going on that highway for it to be so late at night. Like, it makes me feel like I should just go on home. But, I don't know about out here. But, I mean, like, out in the real world. I'm sure that it happens, but I would think that it's a lot more quietly kept, or it just happens a lot less. But I don't know. I'm not from that background. I just can only speak on in prison. It is a lot more common than you would think, and it's a lot more common than people let on. Straight up. And it just pissed. Oh, and as a matter of fact, I got with that other gang member. That dude, I made a couple videos about him. I read it in my prison diaries, and then I made a video about it. The guy where, when I was listing off, I made a video listing off how many men I was with. There was one of the dudes that I was with. He had street cred. He was like a gang member dude out on the streets. In prison, he wasn't like affiliated with the gangs anymore, but he still was friends with all of them. They still knew him and everything. We had messed around, and that's why he didn't want me to stay in the cell, because people were gonna, suspect stuff. But they already had suspected, because a lot of people were surprised that he let me stay even for the weekend. And then after that, I was still in the pod for like a month. Like, after I was moved out, maybe it was like 2 weeks. It might have been less than that. I was moved around a lot, like, on that compound. I was only there for 5 months. But anytime I needed anything, I just asked him. He'd give me anything. And sometimes I didn't even ask him. He would just walk over to the table wherever I'm sitting at, kicking it with my girls, kicking it with KJ, as a matter of fact. And he'd just, be like, I got some cookies. You want some cookies? Or he'd be eating something. Like, he'd be eating, pack of cookies, pack of donuts, something like that. And he'd walk over and just, like, hand it to me so I could grab a few. You know what I mean? Like, acting like he was my boyfriend. This is a gang member, who kicked me out the cell. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Prison. A mess. Okay? A mess and a bunch of lies. Like, them people, they just need to come correct, But hey, they don't want to tell it. I don't mind telling it. I had to deal with it. Then it's my story to own. It's my truth now, so Hey. But alright, I'm done. I love you guys, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great night. If you want to just hear my personal story or just, check out my prison diaries, the link is in the description. Check it out. Love you guys. I'm going home and going to bed. Bye.